And now I'd like to have the pleasure to introduce you to Mr. Neal Asbury to give today's commencement address. When it comes to advocating on behalf of entrepreneurship and free enterprise, there is no one more passionate about these topics than Neal Asbury, CEO of the legacy companies. It's no coincidence that he was the 2008 recipient of the coveted United States National Champion Exporter of the Year Award. Each year, Mr. Asbury hosts the national syndicated talk radio called Neal Asbury's Made in America, produced by Radio America. This has become a nationally respected forum for reinvigorating the entrepreneurial spirit that has made U.S. business the envy of the world in the pursuit of the American dream. He has published over 400 articles on global trade issues, writes a weekly column for Newsmax, and has published a book entitled Conscientious Equity, an American Entrepreneur's Solution to the World's Greatest Problems. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the podium Mr. Neal Asbury.
Wow, what a good-looking group of people here this morning. Yeah. Oh, you all must be so proud of these students. I know I am, and I know that the faculty members and the leadership here at NOVA is as well. I got to tell you, I was sitting here between Dr. Jones and Dr. Hanbury, just trying to imbibe all of this wisdom that I was sitting here on the stage. I could really feel it just kind of coming into me. I want to thank Dr. Hanbury and Dr. Jones for inviting me here this morning to address such a distinguished group of people on this very, very special day. You've all worked so hard and sacrificed so much to be here. I also just want to remind Dr. Hanbury, it's a little dangerous to hand over the microphone to a talk radio show host. But I know this, that I'm standing between you and your degrees. So that's a little overwhelming right now, so I'll make this brief. As we gather here today, we are at the crossroads of America's future. Do we stay with the status quo, or do we embrace the idea that America can and must do better? Do we believe that the American dream is something that used to be? Or do we believe that anyone could aspire to the American dream if they're just willing to put in the work and the sacrifice? Every generation is defined by its sacrifices and by its actions. Let me suggest that your generation be the one that refuses to be limited by the barriers put before you. Let your generation be the one that ignites the American dream in millions of our citizens that today feel so very, very left behind. I know this, as you pursue your dreams, you will help others to achieve theirs. My dream was to be a classical pianist. I discovered this quite late, actually. I convinced my father at 14 to buy me an old upright piano. I practiced at every opportunity I had. At 17, I was somehow able to pass an audition and get into a very, very good music school. My classmates and my contemporaries, many of them been playing since they were 4 or 5 years old. They were child protégés. They had parents and grandparents that were professional musicians. I struggled, and I struggled, and I struggled to keep up. I worked so hard. I studied so hard. I had almost no social life. I sequestered myself away in a little practice room, a little cubicle with my piano, where I feverishly worked on my Hanon exercises and my recital pieces. By the time I was a senior, it finally dawned on me. I was not good enough. I would never be good enough. I just did not have the talent. It was not within me. It didn't matter how much I worked and how much I sacrificed. My parents paid for my tuition and my private lessons, money that they struggled to get, money that they did not have. All that time and that resource was wasted. The time had finally come that I needed to confess to myself and to my family that I was a failure. But was I? This country has been founded by risk takers who have failed time and time again, but somehow they found the courage to pick themselves up, to dust themselves off, and to get right back into the game. Isn't that the essential American story? While studying at Yale University, Fred Smith wrote a paper that he presented to his business class, to his business management class. He got a near-failing grade on it. It was for a paper to create a parcel service company that delivered packages overnight. Well, Fred Smith took his paper and went on to found FedEx. Billionaire Mark Cuban, he says he's failed at just about everything. He failed as a carpenter. He failed as a cook. He failed as a waiter. He said he couldn't even open a bottle of wine. But this is what he said about his failures. He says, I could fail many, many times. I only had to get it right once. Thomas Edison, one of the most prolific inventors in the world, has over 1,000 U.S. patents. As a young boy, he was told by one of his teachers that he was too stupid to learn anything and that he should find a career that did not require much intellect. Well, it took him 9,000 experiments before he successfully made the first light bulb. Walt Disney, he was fired by his editor because he lacked imagination. His first animation company went bankrupt. It is said that he went to over 100 potential lenders before he found anyone that would finance Disney World. Yes, I did fail. I failed in my first love. But I had the good fortune to be an exchange student for a year in London. And while I was there, I backpacked throughout Europe. And I discovered I had another love, I had another passion, and that was for international trade. So upon graduating, I was armed with my music degree. I moved to New York City, got an apartment in Hell's Kitchen on 44th and 10th when it was really Hell's Kitchen. I landed a job in the Lower Fifth Avenue at an export management company. I was working in a mailroom. I was at the bottom of the pile. But I felt that I was on top of the world. Within 8 short years, I was living in Asia, founded my own company, had over 700 employees, and had distribution facilities in 12 countries. And as they say, the rest is history. We are not defined by our successes. We are measured by our failures. And how we can rebound from those failures and get up and get right back into the fight. You know, these great Americans that I just used as examples, they had one thing in common. They had an enormous amount of passion. This passion got them through anything that the world could throw at them. It didn't matter. Nothing could knock them off their game. They had passion. Let me tell you, they had setbacks. I had setbacks. And you will have setbacks. But use these setbacks as just another step forward to achieving your dreams. And remember, passion is the only commodity that you will have in ample supply, because your dreams will always cost you more and take you longer to get there. Keep your passion. And there is another thing I can tell you. You sitting here today have talents that you don't even know. let me tell you that despite all of the undergraduate and graduate courses that you've gone through and all of your accomplishments and all the wonderful things that you've been able to achieve, you have talents that you have not yet discovered. And don't let age be a limiting factor. Myself, I did not know that I had entrepreneurial skills until I was well into my 20s. I did not realize I had a talent for writing and for broadcasting until I was into my 40s. Coming here to Nova, Dr. Hamberry just said about all of the students from around the world that go to school here. I've read that there are students here at Nova from 116 countries, from 5 continents. That makes you citizens of the world. And this is a good reminder that 95% of the world's population and 75% of the world's wealth resides outside of the United States. Expand your horizons. You can change the destiny of countries. Get involved in global commerce. You can help countries raise their standard of living, and you can help protect the environment. Don't be afraid of a blank piece of paper. Write down your dreams and how you are going to get there. And as you learn new things, keep updating it and updating it. Well, that was the advice that I recently gave to a Nova student a couple of months ago that I was mentoring. She was interested in social entrepreneurialism. Her dream was to create a business that could employ hundreds of homeless people. And while they were employed, she would provide them housing and vocational training until they could get back up on their feet. We all find inspirations at times and places that we don't imagine. On that day, I became the student, and the student became the teacher. How beautiful is that? And finally, let's not forget about the 25 million unemployed and underemployed Americans. I believe that the greatest national security threat facing our nation is the lack of jobs. And I'm not talking about any job, but good-paying jobs. For it is these jobs that generates the revenue, that creates the tax base, that pays for our schools, our universities, our hospitals, our highways, our ports. These are the jobs that keep America strong. These are the jobs that give our people hope. These are the jobs that keep our people out of poverty. These are the jobs that pave the way to the American dream for millions of our citizens. But we cannot sit back and wait on Washington to come up with the answers. Washington is a state of dysfunction. It's as if they've ran out of ideas about our economy and how to fix it. Pivot to this, pivot to that. Let's talk about anything but talk about jobs. So therefore, our nation must look to you. You are the job creators. You are the ones to provide opportunity and hope to our people. You are the ones to keep our country strong and prosperous. America must believe in itself again. And that means that you must believe in yourself and your potential. I believe that the vast majority of the wealth in this world has still not yet been created. I'm going to say that again because it's the most important thing I'm saying here today. I believe that the vast majority of the wealth in this world has still not yet been created. It is your job to go out there and create that wealth and deploy it in such a way that it improves the lives of all of us. So I'll stop where I started. The American dream, it is not dead. It's just waiting on you to wake up its promise once again. Thank you.